of the work you do, you would be able to defend your own from Uganda. But going by the international law or the international guidelines under the Vienna Convention 1961 and 63 restrict you from intervening into civil matters and not even to act as lawyers of any nation of your country. Are you aware, Mr. Embassy, or whoever is working under the embassy as a staff? Are you aware you are given diplomatic covers or immunities to protect the secrets of your nation? That's why you work in the secret mission, right? Because you deal in realism. Realism is that work. Whether it needs killing somebody, you can plan and kill that person on behalf of your state, and then the state has to cover you. You have that immunity. Whether it means carrying a briefcase with some marijuana and whatever, or a pistol, whatever, you can carry it across borders in the protection of the state. The states have their knuckles, which do not open in public, but for them, they know. For instance, if a president has to write a letter, right, to another country, another president, and they don't want it to be public, they will use an ambassador who has a diplomatic cover to carry that what? That letter. And nobody is supposed to open it across borders. That's why they use VIP when they are crossing with a diplomatic bag. That diplomatic bag carries secrets. Did you know that? They are supposed to cut deals. So if I'm to ask the migrant workers, those who are migrating and their protection, their mercy, their hope is with the embassy, are you sure your hope is there that those guys can defend you? Guys who are playing that work on behalf of the state, do you think they can defend you? And even we are here in Kampala, the Minister of Gender is just pretending we have the embassy there. That's why you hear me always ask them, do you deploy embassy officials to work in Arab world? I mean, in the Arab houses, do you deploy embassy officials with diplomatic covers that they will have immunity, they won't be tortured? Or when their issues arise, then you will call embassy to negotiate them diplomatically so that they are resolved out of what? Escalation. So the embassy officials are compromised and they all know their knuckles are open, right? They only cover them by what we call the diplomatic cover. Under the immunity is given to them. That's why the Philippines separate it. They say when you have issues that are criminal in nature or which go beyond the civil arrangements, go beyond your contract. For instance, when a criminal matter or when somebody is killed within a contract, that is now a crime within a civil arrangement, right? So once any issue that calls the police, right, that is criminality. Once it arises within a contract, then the embassy is expected, right, to be there. For what reason? The embassy is expected to be there, one, to verify whether the affected person is a national of their country by verifying the passport. Two, is to ensure that her right, is given. For instance, habeas corpus, their right to fair hearing, their right is given, but not to defend them. You get the difference? This national who has been killed, or whatever, he's killed, yes. A girl has been killed, one over the Kadama, killed in this house. The embassy will be contacted. Please verify, is this your national? Yes, is our Ugandan, Mokisa Jessica. Okay. Raped, raped, is this your Ugandan? Oh, yes, is our Ugandan. Now what next? You have to wait as an embassy until the arresting state. What is the arresting state? Is the receiving state, the hosting state, which is not Uganda. You, the embassy, you have to wait. For instance, if an American or a Kenyan or whoever is in Uganda here gets the same challenge or gets an accident, tortured or killed, it is the police of Uganda now to come into that criminality and assess. Until then, when they have assessed, even gone to court, filed everything, the case is ready and the charges are put to whoever committed this crime under the DPP's office, then they have to inform the embassy. They call, we suspect or we found this national of your country, blah, blah, do you verify? Yes, is our national. but it's not the audacity of the embassy to defend you or to defend your status. They rather have to advise on to getting a lawyer, a private lawyer. But for countries like Philippines, by the time they own get these criminal matters, they already have attached a workers' administration which has lawyers, paralegals, and whoever is capable of reasoning and arguing these legal issues, right? Government does not surface direct. They rather send this agency, which is private in nature and already has lawyers who are private, who go into these cases to defend. One will ask me, why did you say the embassy cannot defend the national? They cannot. They can only swap a deal, like exchange of prisoners. I think you have heard of that, right? We have had the Saudis who are imprisoned in Uganda. Now we have Master Blaster arrested in Saudi Arabia. He was also carrying ganja. Now, how do you see? Let's sit on the table. Bobolezinga kashoji netukuwa Master Blaster. Chibatipia. They switch. They can switch, right? Diplomatically. But that does not work in labor issues. Labor issues have claims, right? Have disputes, have compensations that go along, right? They have many issues that come along. So Bobanga, you expect the embassy to come and defend you, you rot in that jail. It will only come when they have already sanctioned you or put charges on you, and then now they say like what is happening in China. They allege anything, they arrest you, they say bulamu bwonna mukomera. Now that's where you saw Sam Kutesa going to China to negotiate. Please, can you release them? You know we have business in Uganda. We can also cut this agreement if you don't release them. So they create issues of win-win. In diplomacy, we call it win-win situation. But is it really fair for Ugandans who are recruited to Saudi Arabia to only rescued by win-win? Do we deserve the worst? They treat us, they take us through. Is that what we deserve? So that it must be a win-win for the embassy officials to come up and help us at a win-win situation? That cannot. When even countries where we go, they have got some labor courts, they have got their own regulations. Like here in Uganda, we have industrial court, we have courts where you can go and seek what? Justice. If you don't help a migrant in Uganda to go in and utilize these spaces for justice, and then you resort onto diplomacy, it means you are denying these migrants justice. Because some of them are cheated from here. The Ugandans who are torturing them must account to that. Just like how it is in Saudi, Qatar, and the other countries. Those Saudis who are torturing nationals or foreigners must account. Why would our embassies go into their issues and begin complicating their issues instead of giving them justice? Because the Saudis or these Arab countries have used diplomacy to escape as a scapegoat. Whenever there is an issue, tujakolagana na embassy. Why do you think they rush to say that? Because they know Chigwerawa. When they rape a girl, the girl is taken to the embassy. They negotiate. Maybe the other Arab who now is supposed to face the Sharia court, their national law, is covered up. And he's told, okay, Sasura Yobukade Chikumi, we release this girl. I mean, we just confuse this girl in the brain. Sasura Yobukade Chikumi, Tetuja Musa Kunyonya Deyo, no Rubutorwe. There are many we have here who have children, but they never got justice. They were just victims of rape overseas. You can't find that in the Philippines. They will fall up to the latter. But for Uganda's case, Osinisa Stami agenda kwemba so chigale. Negotiate 100 millions. Mama tebamugamba, no tebamugamba, chigwerao. But the girl, when you are sending her off, give her 10 millions or 20. First give her 10 when she's leaving, then you send her 10. When she arrives in Uganda, you take the 80 million. Of course, because the case is almost, it calls for almost a death penalty. It's a zina case, right? It calls for almost a death penalty. It can lead that Arab man's family orphan, right? If at all this girl fronts before a sheikh in the Sharia court, tetefaba tumakuba kolese Sharia, umfuna bulungi bwebanga litekirira mu nsi yaabwe lwaki dori bamurepinga. aye ne bagamba ebyadolini tubibikirire kubanga omusajja bajja mutta ensi yaabwe yeeraba okuteekawo ekibonerezo ekyokutta abalwepinze ye bba abalwepinga ani abatuma. Let us face their court. Let their court judge them. Okusinza ku juzi tulina omwana wamunyodde omukono akabonero akalaga nti ddala wabadde omulwepinga oba twasanze ddala nga omulwepinzi. Let them face it. That's how they will end. If you catch one of their nationals ng'alina kyakoze kuba foreigner, let you set a precedent. Bring a case law. Case law, set a precedent. Nti ono nga bwe mulaba Abafilipine basettinga precedent. The other Philippine who was killed in Kuwait and buried, they said mujja muzikula ate mumuliire n'oli naye agenda fesinga sharia. Lwaki mulowoozayo Philippine yakkiriza oli bamutwale mu sharia naye ne bamusala gwakutta era ne bamutta? Let it happen and we see who will again rape a Ugandan. But we have a sack of bastards at Uganda embassies who are compromised and they are selling Ugandans. And whoever comes out and stands on the truth is hated, is isolated, is pushed away. And yet some issues are very simple. You know? How? Somebody has left his country or her country on a contract. It spells out how powers are separated, what to be done and what not. If these are civil disputes, right? Why don't you accept these workers, the worker, the employer and the employee, to go into the courts, the labor courts, and resolve their issues? How many nationals that have left their countries from Africa and have gone to the Arab world, especially to Saudi Arabia, who have been given a chance to go and stand into the labor court with their lawful translators, fellow nationals who speak their language, who can defend their interests, to represent them and defend their case, their civil cases? How many? Very few. They will always delay the process, spoil it, and end it at deportation. Whoever complains, deport. Whoever says what, deport. Because when you deport, she would claim what? Again. So they turn all civil matters and confuse them to be criminality. That's why you find the notion of call of police. Call of police. Whatever that is happening. Whether somebody has been denied the Colgate, pads, food, those are all civil what? Disputes. Those are not criminalities. Omuntu we bamumemmere mu contract nga contract yaleega mulina omuwemmere. Bw'omukozesa emirimu emingi nga contract yaleega temulina gimukozesa. The separation of power is in you understanding what she has to do and let her be compensated or given a chance to fulfill the terms. Ne bwaba mukama we nga yatwala omukozi nga mukama we agamba omwana ono okuva olweyajja yebaka bwebasi ekyamazima mukyekinga contract egamba kinyabo wajja kwebaka. That's the question you ask the worker. But why do you think always the worker is wrong and the employer is right? To always zero at a worker, that wherever a worker complains is wrong, and the punishment you can give this worker is deportation. You get it? So now you don't ask the questions why he was treated like that. Because of standing for justice. And justice comes from boldness, from far, being frank, candid to issues. That's where our rights have been left or casted in vain. It is in vain for that reason. So I want you to understand that when we get, there is nothing that can help a migrant worker, because these are freedoms. For instance, as a voice for us, we defend these freedoms from the freedom of getting work. That's why we don't stop anyone from going or traveling. The freedom of movement. You are free to move. We are not supposed to restrain you anywhere, and nobody should, right? The freedom to choose where you want to go. The freedom to seek employment. The freedom to live and survive and get all whatever inalienable rights, the human rights, the natural rights. Right to food, right to breathe, do everything as you want, speech, right? All those rights are freedoms we cannot stop. You have a right also to seek employment. Who can stop you when you want to go to Saudi Arabia? No, we don't. But we only caution those who are going to mistreat you from there. So as a voice, we question now. If you are really saying whoever suffers within these civil arrangements is a criminal. You take criminals. Why don't you curtail the whole process and you don't take criminals to Saudi Arabia? Because you have realized whoever now gets an issue is a criminal, subjected to deportation. Migrants are always pushed or marginalized to accept these deportations because they have nobody to defend them. So for our case, as Ugandans, what we bid or call for is that the justice aligned within our presentation, our position, our stand, our stakeship, right? Essiga lyaffe bwe muba mbadde mufumbira ku masiga abiri twagala eryokusatu to balance, to have a leveled what ground, so that I am not going to be intimidated or challenged when I say no to what is not right. I will remain stuck because they know they cannot cook without me. There will be no reason why somebody is deported because he has said no to a wrong. Why somebody is denied a salary and done anything because he has said no. In other words, why I'm complaining about this diplomacy and the issues of the embassy intermeddling into the migrant workers' affairs or frustrating us is that these people, until they get away, they get off our way, we shall get justice. Until the embassies in the Gulf region stop pretending under diplomacy, we shall what? Have justice. They allow communities of migrant workers to exist. They may say they don't subscribe to, they don't ratify to the freedoms of association. Then those sending states like Uganda should also not agree to send us there officially or clearing us, attaching taxes on our clearances, attaching fees like $30, attaching job orders, because we have recruitment regulation. All that is extortionate. For as long as they know where they are sending us does not rhyme with what they ratified in Uganda, because Uganda is a ratifier. They ratified on the international law, the international labor standards, which bars us from being actually deployed in countries which are non-members of the ILO. So if you know Saudi Arabia and others are non-members of ILO, why would you continue to deploy us there? These are hard questions. Are you not exposing us? At the end of the day, you pretend that we don't want to work. Those girls and boys, they are just lazy. Is there a lazy person who seeks to leave his home to go and isolate himself away from home? If Ugandans are weak, they don't want to work, why would they leave their home? Let them go and sleep. Jessica, why don't you sleep in your home if you're really lazy? Why would you waste time to even board a plane? You leave your good children, you leave your husband, you forget sex, you go and try to start a life of living alone, living under torture and under pressure. Is that the degree of laziness? They want to say that whoever matches or works for the company is just lazy. Is just lazy, so they don't want what? They just don't want to work. Is that real? So we should look into that as migrants and try to find our position. That when we are bidding for what we call welfare and rights and welfare begin from that. And now it does not only begin from recognizing you being, yes, we have migrant workers' voice here, then we have the representative from Cheyo, we have representative from what. Now, that one alone does not mean you have already arrived at justice. Actually, it can be one way to divide and rule you. You get it? It can be one way to be divided and ruled. You get it? It can be one way to be divided and ruled. It's not about saying that now we give them a chance. They have their voices. They have their association. It does not stop there. It does not stop there. It does not stop you them calling you IOM, ILO, CGU, whichever international organization is calling you for the conference. It does not stop there. It goes beyond you being called for just a mere meeting. And this is where I want to inspire you. You have to look for your land title and your belonging as Ugandan migrant workers who have decided to leave this country. It does not stop from you being deported and come back home. When you look alone, you just cancel. But when you come back, when you are one, you always find an answer for your difficulties abroad. You get it? Answers will be there. They will be there. But the moment you choose to divide and say, let me be alone. When I get issues, I remain alone. Or last time I got challenges, I got someone, an individual, a stranger, somebody on the way helped me. That man is good. Oh, I really like that guy, Mr. Kayonde. Hey, Kayonde helped me. Come on, he's going to die tomorrow. And your children, whom you are working for, abaana bakuzunza bokolerera ogenda baleka wano nga Kayonde yafanga nawe ufudde naye nga ba abaana kati banoonye eddoboozi tebalikola ki. So the best way is to unite. If we must drop these chains, we lose nothing apart from these chains when we unite. And this is my calling for you. When you gain a sense as Ugandan migrant workers, and not only you, we are even rallying even all African migrant workers. It's not about we running away. After understanding the status quo that it's not yet over, it's not yet ending, it's continuing actually. Because we have seen a number of you who come back here. Why we call you senior returnees? Because you are used, it has become incontinent. You know, when we are doing our medical courses, there is that language we use to refer to some classifying diarrhea or the running stomach. Incontinent. We may not tell you directly that you have diarrhea, but he's suffering from what? Incontinent. A non-stop kind of that rapid movement. The sheer numbers you see moving out, even you, does not leave out even those that have been there. It keeps making them return. You see those we secured from Myanmar, they now, as soon as they arrived in Uganda, they were on board. The same thing, the same disease you are all suffering. So, do you think you are going to avoid these problems alone? Do you think you are going to stop these problems by just coming out and open up a blog channel? You talk about it. People have talked. Let me tell you. You only have to discover where is the challenge that brings this cancer. What causes this cancer? You either choose to go proactive to avoid it. This is where we are encouraging members to join associations, get cancelled, hear what you have to do, learn your Arab bosses tricks before even you go there, because we cannot afford stopping you going. For the fact that we can't provide you employment here, and even the governments who are sending you cannot give you what? Employment. Not even better wages. Therefore, going is a must. Therefore, if the must or if the going gets a must, it means suffering gets tougher, and you must be prepared for that. If you must continue suffering, are you guys saying you are going to leave the status quo like that? Haven't you known the truth? You will tell me, what can we do now? Are you sure you can't do anything? It's the question I want to leave to you. You can only lose your chains when you unite as workers. You lose nothing apart from your chains. Otherwise, you are yet to repeat the same cycle until you come back home when you are less developed. And you will. If you don't listen to this message, you will continue going abroad. The best you will do, if you don't want to come back here and look stupid, in that short-term migration you do, if you don't come back here and look stupid because you want to develop, if you go through these injustices, if you continue, if all our daughters, our children, our sisters continue to go through these injustices, the expectation of whatever we are doing to export them is to develop them is not true. It is a sham. It is utopia. Rather, you will find that people will continue dying. If you are to, for instance, if you are to ask the Ministry of Gender to account for all the people that they have ever externalized, they cannot. If you are to ask where are the migrant workers and what are they doing, where are they to assess their development, they cannot trace any return. And they continue saying, we are developing them. Where are those developed migrants? This is where we quote some of them being violated to an extent of losing their organs because they saw a space that was unmonitored, redundant, has no one to care, full of victims who are desperate of work, only yearning for what? Whether they are served poison or not, they only want work. Assuming you are serving food and that food you know very well, you put a poison that will kill each and everyone within a period of 1 year. Whoever eats and gets full, I'm telling you, you can even carry, bring a bag and even pack. This is where you have seen some of the migrants turning into recruiters. You ask now, look at this accomplice. You are the one saying you suffered. Now you join the crooks. And you are taking others to suffer, and you change your language. You must be objective. But do you mind about their welfare? Do you mind about their welfare? Are you guys looking at me, listening to me? Eh? Right? I want to end it here.